Welcome everybody to Workshop 3, Managing Money. My name is Ian Hollow. I'm a Senior Manager with CharterPoint and I shall be taking you through the slides in this training session. Very briefly, the outline for Workshop 3 is finding the money, managing the money once you've got it, spending the money, and some tips and tricks. One of the first stages in managing money is creating a budget for your organisation. Budgets can be simple or more complex, and often they're created in Excel. In setting your budgets, you need to consider your revenue, your expenses, and the net surplus or deficit that you're aiming at for the year. Ensure that your revenue is budgeted by category, and when considering your expenses, consider your fixed expenses such as rent and staff salaries, and your variable expenses such as supplies and travel costs. You need to track your expenses against your budget and seek to understand and explain the variances, and this should be done on a monthly basis at a minimum. You need to ensure in managing your money that you maintain transparency. Your finances need to be as transparent as possible, and remember you are accountable to your grant providers, donors and members. Things to consider are: what are the expectations of the funding provider? What are your reporting requirements? And how have you allocated your overhead expenses? If we think about not-for-profit organisations, there's a whole range of different funding sources. When we think of debt funding, this creates a liability on your balance sheet. Examples of the use of debt funding by not-for-profits could be the purchase equipment or to finance your insurance premiums if your cash flow is tight. Equity funding is not typically seen with not-for-profits that are either companies limited by guarantee or incorporated associations. Your grant funding normally has conditions attached, including the requirement for separate audits to be undertaken to acquit the funding. Over-reliance on grant funding from government sources may increase your organisation's risk. Donations are particularly advantageous for not-for-profit organisations as they typically can be spent for any purpose by the organisation, including the funding of overheads. Donations may include resources provided free of charge, such as rent-free accommodation. Organisations will often fund an event through sponsorships, such as an annual dinner or a conference. The sponsorship is linked to a specific deliverable by the not-for-profit, such as providing naming rights for an event. Many not-for-profit organisations receive funding through membership income. This results from the services that the organisation provides to its members, to which they charge a fee. Other forms of funding could include special events, interest income, or dividend income, if you have those sort of investments. In Workshop 1, we discussed managing the board. One of the specific responsibilities of the board that we discussed was ensuring that the organisation's financial and other reporting mechanisms are designed to result in adequate, accurate and timely information being provided to the board. Drawing from this, the responsibilities of the Treasurer include informing and resourcing to enable critical decisions to be made by the board, engaging with other board members to ensure that the entire board understands the financial performance and position of the organisation, ensuring that financial reports are meaningful and presented to the board in a timely manner, not on the day of the board meeting. The core reports that should be included in the reporting to the board are the profit and loss statement, the balance sheet, the cash flow statement, and a budget variance analysis. Another responsibility of the Treasurer is understanding the financial management of the organisation. How is the finance area staffed? Is it headed by a qualified accountant or an experienced bookkeeper? Boards and the Treasurer specifically need to understand the budgeting process through discussions with the CEO and the finance staff. The role of the board and the Treasurer is to facilitate engaged conversations amongst the board without members feeling intimidated.